We needed 3 goals. We got 3 goals. Can you
Unbelievably.
can you feel the Gold Cup magic? This is USFanTV. We're talking about the USA's 3-0 win over Nicaragua. That is exactly what the U.S. needed to win the group and advance to play, we don't know who, Honduras, El Salvador, maybe Jamaica on Wednesday in Philadelphia. I am Pat. He is Chris.
I am Chris. We've not done this in a while, come to think of it. We've sort of been slacking, I think, on our intros and our outros.
Yeah, I figured I'd do it because then otherwise people will call us Red Hat Guy and White Hat Guy. And, where that leads. So 3 goals. We looked, with this fresh 11, we looked a lot better. And I don't know to what degree it was that Nicaragua played poorly, because they did. But I think our other 2 opponents played a lot better than Nicaragua played. But we also looked okay, too. So we looked more like a team. Kellen Rowe, as far as I'm concerned, has not maybe cemented, but definitely penciled his name in for the World Cup team next year. Matt Miazga, look what happens. I thought he played well defensively and gets the goal at the end. Joe Corona, I was just about to tweet making fun of him for taking 25 touches in the box without shooting on his goal, and then he somehow scored it. So good for him. He kind of makes up for his poor performance in Nashville.
Bedoya, Bedoya,
I thought Bedoya was solid.
He kind of looked like crap so far, and he had 2 assists. And if we could actually shoot a penalty, and I have a comment on that in a second, I wish I had tweeted it before. It came to me a few minutes afterwards, and I thought I was an idiot. But anyway, considering it was the handball that got the one penalty was from him dribbling, he almost had a third assist in a sense. So, all in all, he was, I think you say, man of the match. I can't think of anyone else that you would give it to. Finally, he kind of had maybe he had all of his offensive output for the year. I don't know. But what made me laugh was I thought a minute or 2 after Dwyer missed his, shanked his penalty. Why didn't I think to say, did he think he was playing for England?
Ooh. Yeah. That was bad. You know what, though? I mean, the penalty was hit on the first one. The penalty was hit very hard, but it was hit right at the height where if the goalie guessed correctly and made a save, he could make a save.
It was well struck. It just wasn't well aimed. It wasn't. It was kind of in the perfect spot, right? Diving goalie to.
All it took was him
save, kind of whether he intended to or not. Yeah. Basically. When you're young, they tell you just hit it as hard as possible because it's almost impossible for a goalie to stop it. He did the first part. He hit it as hard as he could, but man, that placement was terrible. And then that was we almost saw it. We started to think deja vu there the second time around. It was basically the same shot. It wasn't quite as hard. And it was a little better placed, but because it wasn't quite as hard, it ended up being essentially the same thing.
Now, I got to know. I think this is the question everybody wants to know. Are you finally okay with the referee performance?
I got to say, all in all, this seemed like what we should expect. And I'm sure to Mexican fans or something, this seemed like we were getting all the calls. But to me, it was like, wait, so when you tackle somebody at the mid shin for no reason behind the ball, that results in a yellow card only 8 minutes or 10 minutes in, whatever the hell it was, early in the first half. Wait, for real? And when someone commits a foul, 2 defenders smash you from the opposite sides of each other in the box, and you kind of take a dive, but they both fouled you. That's a penalty? And wait, then you get another one too? I was like, I kind of thought we were Mexico for a minute, except the fouls actually had occurred.
to be fair,
or the infractions.
Mexico would probably hit their penalties. So
yeah,
that was. I mean, that's the only real.
Of course,
drawback.
the way I knew we weren't Mexico is they didn't occur in the 90th minute when we were down.
They didn't get that penalty against Jamaica in the 93rd minute that we were all kind of expecting.
I told Simon. So Simon, hey, if you're watching, I was like, it's too bad this game's gonna end on a penalty in the 91st minute or something like that, or too bad you're gonna lose in the 91st minute. I kind of stole that from somebody I saw on Twitter when we were playing Mexico a month ago.
So yeah, now it's up to Bruce to figure out who goes home. We've got 6 guys coming in, 3 of which are on the poster behind you. Tim Howard, Michael Bradley, and Deuce. And then we also have Darlington Nagbe, Josie Altador, and Jesse Gonzalez. I
do like the Jesse Gonzalez call. That is cool.
Yeah.
I hope he gets a shot in here.
Yeah, I mean, is he going to really play? I mean, are you really going to start him ahead of Timmy Howard? I don't know, but it would be cool.
I don't think you're going to start him ahead of Howard, but
for winning,
I mean, it may depend on our matchups. The nice thing was, at least because we scored as many goals, at least because we beat Panama on goals scored, we don't have to worry about facing probably Costa Rica. I mean, I haven't looked at the standings. I mean, they were essentially, it was like, what, 7-8 teams already in because of the Panama Martinique.
It would have been Costa
earlier.
Rica. It is not Costa Rica. It is probably one of Honduras, El Salvador, or Jamaica. We'll know tomorrow. So
Jamaica, I'm starting Howard. The other 2, I might be willing to start Gonzalez. I don't know. I mean, maybe not for his first start in a knockout game, but part of me wanted to say earlier, this is sort of Klinsmann-esque in that we can't predict Bruce's lineup. Like, no one can.
True. Yeah, we've stopped trying. If you haven't noticed, because it was like like we don't know what he's going to do. I think it'll be more predictable going into the next rounds of games. Obviously,
the future games. I think we know 6 of the starters, so at least 5.
Yeah.
So I think it certainly becomes more predictable, but it's still kind of a crapshoot for the rest of the team. I mean, just look at 11 changes to this game. Now, granted, we knew we were through. Although
we had to win by a certain.
We knew, I mean, we knew we were through for sure after the lineup had come out, but we were pretty sure we were through. And so I understand, and maybe he had planned all along for major experimentation in this game because it was the last game of the opening round. It was the last chance to maybe give some of these players an opportunity. So maybe some of that was to be predicted, but who the hell knew? I mean, this team has been so up and down. This team has been so, I shouldn't even say up and down. This team has just been down, really.
Yeah.
This team's been more like our penalties than our goals today.
The only guy who didn't get a chance to play was Sean Johnson. Everybody else played at some point during the 3 games, which I guess you got to credit Bruce for that. It's good to see, he stuck to the gun. He stuck to his guns. He's going to, for these opening rounds, bring in younger guys, see what he has, give everybody a chance, and he did that. So, I think there were some tactical issues in the first 2 matches, maybe not today. It's tough to find tactical issues in a 3-0 win, where you could have won 5-0. But yeah, I think Bruce had some issues in the first 2 games, but to his credit, he stuck to his plan, and everybody did get to play of this B or C team or whatever you want to call it. And now going forward, we've got some of the more familiar guys coming in. I still want to know the answer to this question, if anybody knows. Are they all going to be wearing oddball numbers, the guys who come in, or are they going to get their preferred, like Bradley wears number 4, their preferred number, and then whoever's wearing 4, Miazga or whoever it is right now, will have to shift to something else if he's still there. I'm interested to see. So Yeah, it's a Wednesday night game in Philadelphia. We were in Philadelphia the last time they played in Philadelphia last summer. Are you up for a Wednesday road trip?
No Hare Brooks this time though.
True.
That was his greatest game as an American, I think. I mean, even over the Ghana goal in the World Cup, that game stands out as I think the greatest defensive performance I've ever seen from an American. So that made that game pretty cool.
And
I kind of wanted to do the last minute trip today. I just have my kids this weekend, so
I thought about it. I did the Google
if this
Maps.
was next weekend, I might have done the last minute drive to Cleveland.
Yeah, I thought about it. I looked it up last night on my phone. I'm like, how many miles is it to Cleveland? I should remember that from the last trip. But
yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
good
technically
news.
speaking, we were in Cleveland the last time the U.S. played there as well.
We were. That's true. That was Michael Bradley's first game. That's how long ago it was. He had hair and he wore number 24.
And he was like 17, I think.
Yeah, we were like, is he just giving this kid a run out because he's Bob Bradley's son? What is this? So who do we want to see? Who stays for sure, and who goes on this team?
Kellen Rowe.
Kellen Rowe
stays. Yes. Absolutely. This was the third straight game in which he excelled. I mean, not just that he scored, but I mean, he looked dangerous again. It was nice to see him finish. It was nice to see him get a goal. Period. But that kid has a future. He stays. You keep him around. You keep giving him chances.
Bob, I'm with you on both points there. I think Kazan needs to go to Atlanta, and I think Lehigh stays. So,
God, Lehigh needs to stay. And Zusi wasn't bad today. Zusi did have the
messy run.
I was going to say the assist on the final goal, but
he did. That was a nice assist on the free kick.
That was a nice serve, and yeah, we finally put a header away. What do you know?
I don't think Zusi will go. I think he's too.
But I don't think
veteran.
So either, but yeah,
I would not be surprised.
I wish that Lehigh was playing from here on out.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Jordan Morris go. Not because he deserves to, but because I wonder if there's a deal with Seattle, 1-for-1 swap out. We'll give you Deuce.
Yeah.
Jordan Morris back. So I think Jordan Morris probably deserves to stay and Aguadello should go if any of the forwards have to go. But I wouldn't be surprised if Morris goes for that reason. I hope not, though. Dwyer's got to stay, I think. Despite the
Bob. I mean, that's exactly my thing. It's not that Zusi's been bad.
Right.
I mean, he looked slow against Panama, but we knew that ahead of time. My problem is, Lehigh looked awesome.
Oh, Bob, good point. Roldan for Dempsey, maybe. That's a good point.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a good, yeah. Yeah, actually, that might be a good call. They probably won't take 3 Sounders. So
that would be a bit much. Yeah.
Yeah. Seattle will just be complaining for the rest of the year. Next year, they'd still be like, we would have won and never.
There's 3 KC players right now, though. So
there are.
So yeah. What else? Somebody brought up an argument. I saw it was what's his name? Rob from Stars and Stripes arguing with the guy who runs the FC Bayern US account, the really great Twitter account.
Yeah.
They were arguing Kellen Rowe or Darlington Nagbe. Who not just like who do you like better overall right now? Who's better for the starting 11? Has Rowe done enough to overtake Nagbe?
To take Nagbe? I don't think so. Nagbe has more history, more proof behind him. But man, it's hard to. I would say, if nothing else, Nagbe would get the next game because Rowe's played already. He's had 3 games now. 3 games? He didn't play in the second, did he? Now I'm forgetting. No, he played in all 3, right? He just came out early.
He came. He played at the end of the second game, didn't he?
Yeah. That's right. plus the Ghana game. So, he's had several games. I could see him getting a rest and then Nagbe getting the start. And if Nagbe excels, then Nagbe keeps playing.
Right.
If Nagbe doesn't, then I think you go back to Rowe because he's got the hot hand.
Yeah.
But for now, when, I don't know, you've had a bunch of games already, you might be tired. There's been travel, there's been weather, there's all the things. I could see where Rowe gets a rest with Nagbe coming in behind him. Coming in for him.
Yeah, I think Nagbe starts. I think Rowe should stay. I think that means Jesse Zardes goes home. Likely. So, but maybe Bruce sees it differently. Let's see. What else do we have? I think we're sending Gazan home, right?
I would. I mean,
and then probably Sean Johnson.
Howard's going to play. Yeah, I think Sean Johnson's gone. Not getting to play at this point. Bringing in another MLS keeper anyway. I think he's gone. I'd like the whole thing about why I could see Jesse Gonzalez getting a shot and why I hope he does is, to me, you converted. You filed your paperwork. You swapped your allegiance. You didn't do that just on a whim.
Yeah.
You did this because you had I assume you had to be promised something. You were given some kind of strong indication that.
Here's what I wonder, though. It would have been a lot more likely. Here's what I think happened. He was promised he would get to play. The paperwork didn't get done in time for the group stage. It would make a lot more sense to have him start in a group stage than it would in a knockout game. I don't know that I wouldn't trust him. He's a good goalkeeper, but I'd rather Tim Howard. So I don't know now if you do let him play. But like you said, I don't know that there's a weak opponent either. Like we could lose to anyone, as we've shown. So I don't know that I want to mess around with it. I would probably give it to Tim Howard, but I mean, if we get drawn against Jamaica, I'm putting Howard in because they didn't look. Honestly, they should have beaten Mexico the other night. Mexico had the possession to win, by all means, but the biggest missed penalty call was absolutely the one against Jamaica. That was a penalty. They should have had a penalty. Presumably, they should have scored it. I mean, who gets 2 penalties in a game and can't hit one? England and now the United States. Douglas is complaining that the Galaxy are bad. Boo-hoo. Well, you had a good run.
You'll buy your way back.
Are they getting Zlatan, or is that over with? Yeah, you'll find some other major superstar to come play for you, and everything will be better soon. So let us have our fun with the Fire. We don't even remember what it's like to have a good Fire team. It's been so long since like the Blanco days. So it'll be okay.
El Blanco.
Ricardo, Mexico was boring, and I thought they were great in their first game. They were not good last night. I mean, a better team. Obviously, Jamaica's a good team, as they proved in the last Gold Cup. But they still frighten me. I still would be nervous playing them. So,
Sticky player, I'm sure you are the first viewer to be listening in the car on the way home from Chipotle as well. Try not to shit your pants.
It's more of a Taco Bell thing, isn't it?
I was making the old South Park joke about the Chipotle way after.
That's right.
After Cartman falls in love with the place. But yes, fuck Wando, you are correct. Yeah. Just think of this. At least we're not bringing Wando in.
This is true. This is true. Although the finishing in the second game, I was starting to think maybe Wando looked pretty good, honestly.
Wando probably would have hit those penalties.
Might have. He might have. 2? Really? We missed 2.
Yeah. I mean, and I mean, to do it exactly the same way.
Yeah. Maybe that was what who took the second one? Corona? Maybe that's what he was thinking. Yeah. He's like, he won't go to that spot again.
Psych.
All right, so I guess we should probably talk about Cleveland too.
Last of the Mohicans.
I thought AO sounded pretty good today. From what I can tell, and you can never tell if it's a mic thing or what.
Well, I was watching on Univision, and they didn't seem to be miking the stadium as much or the field as much. So since I could hear them, I will say, yeah, they were much more in unison, I think, this time. Which either means they had a more consistent grouping of followers, or they had maybe a smaller section, so they were more in unison.
I mean, two things that help though: goals keep people excited.
There is that,
and it not being a million degrees outside also keeps people.
Everyone not being on fire.
Yeah, people keep drinking beer instead of trying to just hydrate to stay alive, as we were doing in Nashville. So props to AO. You sounded good tonight. Yeah, and I like some of the old-fashioned USA. I like that sort of thing. I don't need Huey Lewis or whatever we're singing these days.
I wonder if we could do a Huey Lewis song.
Huey Lewis. Or
how to rock and roll is to be.
Gets me pumped every time. Not Huey Lewis, Billy Joel.
This is it. Yeah.
Billy Joel is what they're singing.
Joel? I was like,
Nashville. I'm out of notes. I've covered it. What do you guys want to talk about?
I'm kind of curious here. Robert's saying, will MLS and U.S. soccer eventually clash if MLS continues to grow as a league? Clash how? You mean because the U.S. demands players? I mean, yeah, MLS might start being tougher on non-FIFA dates, but beyond that, I don't know what can they do. The one maybe nice thing there in terms of the relationship is that the president of MLS almost certainly has some close relationship to the United States Soccer Federation. So, I mean, I'm saying going forward. So not just looking at like current where Don Garber sits, but like just period, whomever the president may be should still have some sort of reporting relationship basically to U.S. soccer. So there is some sort of check there, but will they push back? Yeah. I mean, I think they pushed back a little bit already, but if the U.S. is calling for players on non-FIFA game days, yeah, I'm sure MLS will start pushing back. But at the same time, right now, MLS is so dependent upon, or maybe not dependent upon exactly, but heavily relies at least on U.S. national team players to come back and help them fill their seats. So there is some dependency going both ways.
I can't stop laughing at what TJ just wrote. Is Dax going home? Who's going home from the midfield? Is anybody going home from the midfield to make way for Bradley from the central midfield? Would it be Dax? Would it be Acosta? Or do we keep both? That's a good question. I think Acosta would stay over Dax, although maybe Dax did more in this tournament to stay than Kellen did. So it's a tough call. And maybe that
might be true, but I don't think Bruce is going to put Dax and Bradley next to each other.
That's true.
Also, I think this tournament was more about giving Acosta reps. I mean, I'm not sure Acosta not playing today was a big deal. I'm not even sure the time at which he came out in the last game was that big a deal. I think some of that may have been he's played an awful lot. He had an awful lot of touches, and he still affected that last game. It wasn't like he was just a complete waste out there. So I'm not certain that he's been written off by any means. I mean, hell, Areola had a bad first game, still made it in soon after that. He didn't start the next game, but he played.
Apparently, Sam's saying that Bedoya may be going home to meet his kid, according to what people are saying on Twitter. Christian Roldan goes home for Bradley. Is that? I mean, I'm not looking at Twitter. I'm doing the show, so that sounds possible though. I know that
I
FC
could see
Dallas,
that. I mean,
Dallas put up a fight about Jesse Gonzalez apparently. So I wonder if again there was any kind of negotiation. We'll give you Acosta back for Gonzalez or something like that.
Maybe.
I hope not. I'd like to see Kellen Acosta continue with the team, but I think
my feeling before was that this was, and that's part of the reason I thought Bradley was going to be in even from the opening rounds, was that I thought this tournament was probably about cementing that relationship, Acosta and Bradley. So him being kind of the next Jermaine Jones, and while maybe he hasn't been there so far, maybe some of it is because he didn't have someone like Bradley next to him, and maybe he and Dax weren't getting the coordination that they were supposed to, but who knows? Maybe it is just that he hit a few game in slump or something. I don't know.
There you go, guys. Matt Hedges going back for Gonzalez. That's a good.
Oh yeah.
He was not that good. One of the guys who disappointed me more than others in the tournament, and there's a 1-for-1 with FC Dallas. So, 3-0 USA wins. Joe Corona, Kellen Rowe, and Matt Miazga. If I had said that, I mean, then we probably would have just had to quit the show, because that would have been the greatest prediction ever. It would have blown away my one from the other day that I got right. But that's nobody had those three guys scoring. So, but we got the 3 goals we needed. And so we have a more favorable opponent Wednesday night. Although if we end up with Jamaica, I don't know.
Presumably, but yeah, I mean,
I don't know how much more favorable that is than Costa Rica without Joel Campbell, who is hurt now for a long time, which I suppose impacts us as Arsenal fans, but he probably wasn't going to play anyway. So, unfortunately, because I like him, but yeah, so we'll see what happens Wednesday. And then from there it gets real, and
shit gets real.
And then we see the Final Four and what we need to do to win this. I think we go to Texas. We go to Dallas, right? After, isn't it Cowboy Stadium or whatever the hell it's called now?
Yeah, I think that is the semifinal.
I think Mexico would go to their home stadium of Pasadena, California, for their
one of their home stadiums.
Yeah, that may be their
Pasadena, Phoenix, and Soldier Field.
We do better against Mexico these days at Azteca than we do in Pasadena. So I'm glad we're probably not going to play them there.
There is that.
Phoenix and Dallas.
That does bring up a point. Because a lot of people have been saying, why haven't we been giving Bruce Arena the same shit we were giving Jurgen Klinsmann for the lineup changes, the inconsistency, the poor play, the player choice, selection, whatever. I have a couple reasons why. One is Bruce has been at this job for 8 months. If you think about it, Klinsmann got a lot of passes for about 4 years. It was about 4 years in that people started, at least it was after the World Cup, I guess, that people really started kind of questioning things. Maybe at the World Cup, but whatever. I mean, he had several years of passes before that, where it was like, oh, but he's Jurgen Klinsmann. We love him. He got us new players.
Leaving Donovan off the World Cup roster was the moment where I said
that. Yeah, that was a big one. I think that definitely got a lot of what's going on here.
But yeah, there's a honeymoon period for a new manager.
Yeah, I do think some of that is because Bruce is new into the job. Now you could say, but we already saw Bruce. Well, then you have to say, okay, but if you remember 2006, people were hammering Bruce for shit back then too. Like we were not always fans of Bruce Arena back then. You and I were trashing him at times too. So I don't think it's fair to equate what Klinsmann ended up with to what Bruce is going through right now.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before, but obviously Klinsmann is a big picture guy with a lot of really fantastic ideas. I don't even know that he's worse tactically than Bruce. People like to get on Klinsmann for not being tactically sound. Klinsmann's problem was that he failed to communicate his ideas to his own players. And his own players started to eventually go, and I think the moment that started was with there was talk that it started before Donovan. There was that Brian Strauss piece when he was still at Sporting News that showed where Michael Bradley or somebody was talking bad about him. From the moment he came in, he remember he took the names off the back of the jerseys and he made them wear like their positional numbers for a while, and he just pissed a lot of people off. Well, after Donovan, the players started grumbling more about, we don't know what he wants us to do. And this opens the door for Jermaine Jones and people like that to go, fuck it, I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah, a little bit.
And it created so much chaos and confusion that I think when you lost Michael Bradley, and I think he did, I could be wrong, but I think he did.
No, I think you're right on there.
You've lost the team. And it was just time for him to go. It wasn't that he was, because I was arguing with somebody yesterday who's like, you didn't realize what you had in Klinsmann. I'm like, yes, I did. We talk all the time.
Oh, no, we about fully how we realized it.
We agreed with a lot of his points, and we think they're great, but he ran his course.
Yeah.
And Bruce is a Band-Aid to get us qualified for the World Cup and get us through the World Cup. I don't want Bruce beyond that.
No,
I'd rather bring in another fresh ideas guy and start bringing the big picture up again.
Yeah.
But we were at risk of not qualifying.
Yogi Low.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Come sniff your balls or whatever you do. Scratch your balls and sniff your fingers over here, Yogi. We'll pay you more. It'll be great. That's going to get Sandra mad. Sorry, Sandra. We still love you. But is Mix Discord the mix we're talking about?
Poor Mix.
Yeah, Bob, I just brought up the Strauss article. People were, I think that was, it happened from even his first moments with the team, like I said, but after the Donovan drop, where people just saw he brought him in to drop him to make a point, like he did with this with Oliver Kahn when he was with Germany. I'm going to drop the biggest star to show, that anybody can go. That didn't play well. And then from there on out, if you're not going to clearly communicate your ideas, and this is the one thing you get from Bruce that players say he always does, is he tells you clearly what your role is, where you stand, how you're doing, what you're supposed to do. That's important for a lot of guys. And Klinsmann had the idea that you wanted to make players uncomfortable, but to that degree, you always want your players to be comfortable. You want them to know what's going on.
No, he definitely wanted them to go figure it out for themselves. And that's great when, I don't know, you have Barcelona's lineup. Hell, I could coach Barcelona. Go out and do whatever the hell you want. Oh, if you have a problem, pass to Messi. Like, in that case, sure, those guys can figure it out. They can do whatever the hell they want because they're like they're almost the world's best. They're the world's best at almost every position. But when you're not, and you have, I don't know, issues like maybe egos and things, you need a little more direction. I do think that helps rein in guys like Jermaine, who his heart is in the right place, but like there's a reason he got to this point. He has a huge ego and he wants to be the star. And if you're not going to tell him you're not the star, he's going to try and be the star. And when you got 5 guys, 2 guys, whatever, even one guy who's just not supposed to be trying to be the star, it screws everything up.
I think that's why you saw flashes of brilliance from him, but then periods of confusion too.
Yeah.
Aaron's got a good question. Who do we see as the starters on the back line on Wednesday?
Ooh. Again, I think that has a little bit to do with who the team we end up playing is.
Who do we want or who do we think? That's always 2 different questions.
I think it'll be Omar again.
Yeah.
Maybe Beasler as the other center back, because I don't see it being Hedges.
No, I think you're right on with those two. The 2014 pairing.
Yeah. And I'm guessing probably we go back to Villafana on the left. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, that would be very traditional Bruce, I guess. But I mean, he's flipped everything on its head in this tournament. So
my thing is, well, and I wonder if a little bit he didn't kind of view the opening rounds as an experiment anyway. That look, if these guys can't get through, no matter who I put out there, they shouldn't be making it through anyway. So fuck up, they're all no good. Which it maybe is why he was just kind of shooting spitballs. But I kind of feel like Acosta and Villafana were both brought in to
get more reps.
Yeah, just get more chances and fail sometimes. You know, find out what it means to fail and figure out what you have to do to get better. You know, can you get better? Okay, great. If you can't, well, then we know we have that problem too. But I kind of feel like this was their, not even their sink or swim, but their like trial by fire or something. They were just sent there to give them as many opportunities to succeed and to fail as possible in a tournament that means something, but that's against competition that isn't necessarily, well, that's nowhere near the caliber they're really going to face come next summer. So get them ready against lesser quality, give them as many chances and see what happens. So I could see Villafana probably playing from here on out. But again, that could depend on weather and talent of the opponent and things like that as well. So, but I kind of feel like Beasler and Omar are probably his two most trusted center backs right now. So I'm guessing we're going to them. Villafana, I just see he's going to get his job back because he's going to keep his job probably, I think, for the rest of the tournament because I think that's what Bruce wants. I don't think he's going tomorrow, maybe, but I think he's locking that role in because it is such a new role. Everywhere else in the field, I think you're looking at who's the next backup. But I think at Acosta's position and Villafana's, I think you're looking at he just wants to set these up for good. On the right, my guess it's probably Zusi.
Not that Zusi's been terrible, but
no, he hasn't been bad. It's just that I'm sorry.
We'd all rather Eric
Lehigh play.
Yeah,
it's like how many times does somebody have to be better than you before you can just call them better than this guy? So my hope is Lehigh's starting on the right and is playing the rest of this tournament on the right, because right now he's the guy I want challenging Yedlin for a starting position, or at least serving as Yedlin's backup. Maybe in a game where we need better defense, or we expect that we're not going to get to attack from the wings. Maybe Lehigh's the guy then. But to me, he should be our number 1/2 right back, and that role shouldn't be down to Zusi.
Mean Machine wants to know who starts as D mid on Wednesday, Dax or Bradley. I think 100% Bradley.
Bradley. Bradley. I think we'll see Bradley from here on out. I think Dax is done.
Yeah.
I think Dax will stay because, if we're winning 4-0 or something, Dax is going to get run out because you're going to try and rest all those guys and just keep them from getting injured, as many of your top players as possible. But my guess is, Bradley's here for the
probably
for the rest of the tournament.
Acosta ahead of him, maybe. Let's see, unless he goes with a diamond or something. I think you'll have Nagby. Does he play Nagby centrally? We've needed help there. Or does he keep
We
Nagby?
have. We've definitely needed help there. My guess is I'm so scared to guess at anything right now because really kind of since March, it's been like, what?
Yeah. Here's a point that you all need to know. In the quarters and the semis of this tournament, if it is tied after 90 minutes, it goes straight to penalties, which, as you saw today, we may struggle with. And I was thinking of, well, who are we bringing in? Deuce would be fine. The last penalty we saw from Michael Bradley.
Josie.
Yeah. Last penalty we saw from Michael Bradley was not a good one in MLS.
No, it was not.
That could have been a fluke thing, but yeah. So that may be an issue if we're getting to that point.
Nagby never rests. You are
Nagby on the wing, Bob. Likely, Bob. I think that's probably where he'll be. I would have said keep Bedoya on the right, but the reports are that he's going home. So
Ricardo says, do we agree with Arena's performance, or do we have more expectations? We had more expectations.
Yeah.
Clearly, this has not been the tournament we hoped for, or the tournament we expected. This has seemed, my take on this team is that it's a bunch of guys trying to prove their value. Like, I think it's been made clear to them, or maybe they're just aware because of they're not stupid, that they're trying out for the World Cup team right now. And they're trying to fill those last spots. And they're all trying their hardest to be the guy who stands out. And they're failing to play as a team because of it. They want to be, everybody's kind of playing for themselves. There's no real cohesion. Some of it may be that they lack familiarity because none of them really, I mean, the average number of caps is the lowest since 2009, I think. Since 2009. And before that, it goes back to like 2000, when you're looking at almost no one you can name right now was on the 2000 Gold Cup roster. I mean, we, like Pat and I probably can, but like most of our viewers probably can't at all because most of them are too young, I think. But it's you're looking at a very inexperienced team. So I don't know. I expected more. I thought for the quality of the opponents we were facing, we should have been able to handle them regardless. And I know we've got a viewer from Martinique who definitely does not like that we trashed Martinique. But
I don't know that we did, though. I thought they played well. We were mad at ourselves.
My point was just, look, it's not that you guys didn't play well, but I'm sorry, we're a better team. We are. It's not just on paper. You guys are like semi-pro players. Good for you. But we have full professionals, and some of them should be pretty good professionals, and we just haven't played like it.
Prediction
on in that regard, it has been a rather low grade so far.
I think it was Mario that asked our predictions on who makes the final. I think it's the U.S. and Mexico. I mean,
I don't know how you can vote against us. I know how you can vote against us right now, but as the way this tournament goes, Costa Rica is the only team that I would truly think can stand a chance of beating the U.S. And it's not like they're a real great opponent to the U.S. on U.S. soil. I mean, the real danger to Costa Rica is playing them somewhere else, generally in Costa Rica. But in the U.S., we usually handle it pretty easily. I mean, we handle CONCACAF generally pretty easily, Mexico included in the U.S. anymore. But, I just Mexico will get the calls they need, if nothing else. CONCACAF will make sure Mexico goes as far as they can in this tournament. The U.S. will bluster, but hopefully, especially with our new players in, I think you have to count on us to start playing more like we should have looked if you looked at us on paper.
The 6 guys we're bringing in, if you haven't heard, are Josie Altidore, Michael Bradley, Clint Dempsey, Darlington Nagbe, Jesse Gonzalez, and Tim Howard. So can't start 2 goalkeepers, but I would expect 5 of those 6 to be starting on Wednesday in Philly. And I'm wondering if Mario or Ricardo wants to answer, who's Mexico bringing in? Are they making any roster changes? I haven't actually.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Are they bringing in some big guns as well, or are they going to ride with the?
Don't bring one of them, or let him get his neck broken.
I think you may be referring to Rafa Marquez, if I'm guessing.
I don't know who.
Like, is Chicharito coming, or is he off with a preseason thing in China or something? I don't even know where they are.
Chicken flu. Ate some laced chicken again.
They said none. Wow, that's interesting.
That's kind of impressive, actually.
So they're going with Liga MX players only, and no manager, or at least not their main manager because he's suspended. So, interesting. So if they win, that's a big vote of confidence for their future if they've got their younger guys, their B team, winning this thing. And if they lose, they can go, well, it's just our young guys.
Yeah. Mean Machine 13 asks, would we have done better if Failhaber was on the roster?
Well, here's the thing. It's hard to argue against finishing first in your group. That was the goal, and we did that. But yes, we needed some creativity in the central channel of the field in the final third. We had almost none, and Benny would have provided some of that. So
I think it would have helped because while that was Corona's job, there was nobody else there. So, when he struggled early on, I mean, you could say he struggled for the first 2 games. There was no one really to actually did even play in the second game. No, I can't even remember. But there was no backup. Like, we had to ask, well, who goes next? Who replaces him? Who do you put in his place? And we had nobody. And there's no like replacement. So yeah, I think Failhaber would have helped. Would it have? Would we have won against Panama if he'd been there? I don't know.
Yeah,
as a team, we were pretty collectively mediocre. So
it was pretty bad either way. Yeah. All right. Well, I would say you can expect a regular show from us Tuesday night where we'll preview Wednesday night's game, and we'll know who the opponent is then. So expect that. We'll do a post-match show. I'm speaking for you. We haven't actually talked about this, but I assume we'll do a post-match show on Wednesday night. And then we'll go from there.
I will probably be at the Highbury.
We do enjoy shows where you are at the bar. So maybe I'll have to run out to your car.
Hopefully my phone will not decide to we'll not decide to just randomly lose all connection and have to restart everything and everything's gone. I do like who said it? Brian, was it? Yeah, Chicharito needs to score his 26th goal in the U.S.
Yeah.
Well played.
It's an old show reference, if you don't know that. Speaking of scoring goals, though, our man Deuce might break Landon's record while Landon's in the booth. That'll be interesting to hear what he says. Landon will say the professional thing, and maybe he'll mean it. I don't know. I doubt it. But that'll be interesting. So I would expect Clint Dempsey will score 2 goals in the remaining 3 games of this tournament if we make it that far.
I'd like to be there if it happens, if such a thing happens, like while Donovan's on hand, because they're going to send him down to the field afterwards to congratulate him or something, right? I mean, I can't imagine either of them, even if they might not like it, I can't imagine either of them, backing down from such an opportunity. Like, they're going to be sent out there because you're 2 of the biggest faces of U.S. soccer, period. You're the 2 highest scoring players of all time. You've got to do something. You've got to have some kind of congratulations, pat on the back. Deuce gives Donovan his jersey, something,
Yeah. Hunter says Landon is such a dick. I don't know. I met Landon and he was awesome. So
I've heard from people who played with him in younger years that he was always a dick. Whatever. He's a professional athlete. I mean,
he had bleached
name
blonde
one who's
hair.
not an asshole.
Yeah. But he was incredible when my son and I met him last year. So and he showed up at the AO party after I left in Nashville. I was gone. He was there. That kind of sucks. So yeah.
Yeah, Adam, he is Landon is super dry as a commentator. Yeah. It's rare. Something in the last game he said was like a genuine comment, but it was like he didn't have his mic on, right? So it was real quiet. And then Holden had to respond and kind of cover for it. I can't remember what it was. It was like something he said. It's like, that was an actual genuine thought. And I can't remember what it was. It's nothing like when Winalda still was allowed to call games for real.
They let him in the halftime studio.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. They never let him do that. But
he definitely seems tamer these days. I don't know if he's taken some of the lessons to heart, or if he's just been put on double secret probation. Eric, we're not going through this again.
Landon, I think he still does need work as a commentator, but I think he's better than when he started. When he started, I remember the first match he did, it was, I think even he said it was dreadful. Stu's okay, but for my money, Ian Darke and Taylor Twellman are the best crew. I love those guys together, and I know we can't have them because they're on ESPN, and this is everything has to be on Fox these days. But yeah, I miss having those guys. I made a joke on Twitter about Ian Darke's call when we scored our third. I think I wrote something like, "You may possibly be able to write a script like this." Kind of gives the Gold Cup its due. All right.
On Univision, Marcelo Balboa was calling the game.
Do you hate him in Spanish?
I might if I understood more of it. I loved him so much as a player, and I hated him so much as an announcer. It was like the reverse of Winalda, where it was like I made fun of him so much as a player because he was always whining about everything. But as an announcer, he was the one guy on the set who you could count on to give a real opinion and be like, no, this game is rigged, or like that call was bullshit. None of this should be that was a foul. That should have been called. This is ridiculous. This referee isn't doing his job. Nobody says that on air. But Winalda said it every time. It completely changed my opinions about both of them. But I mean, I can still remember Balboa for like the things I liked about him. If I could speak enough Spanish to like truly carry on what they're saying, like I can pick up words here and there. I can probably figure out what they're saying, but I'm not fluent enough with it that I can truly follow along and be like, oh, this is what he meant.
Yeah, I have an easier time with Winalda or with Balboa in Spanish than I do with like whoever does the play-by-play. It's too fast for me, so I'm still.
Oh yeah. I mean, his Spanish is much slower. Didn't he learn Spanish just so he could do this?
I don't know.
I don't think he's a native speaker of it. I think that's what I heard.
Maybe he speaks poor Spanish, then I'm not sure. So somebody who's better at it could tell me than that. But his Spanish sounds closer to what my ears are capable of. So I think it's probably just because he's slower. So it helps me. Okay. Yeah, Adam, don't bring me back there. Don't bring me back there, buddy. All right, so this is USfanTV. The website's USfanTV.com. We have the following things. We have Twitter. We have Facebook. We have Instagram.
Boom.
All USfanTV. So go follow us there. Occasionally, we're funny. And that's usually
probably not, but
that's usually just a fluke anyway. We do not have Snapchat, and we do not like Snapchat. We also do not like Wando.
Snapchat.
And to find us on Craigslist, you have to search very hard in very, very special places. We have YouTube, but you know that because you are here. If you haven't, please subscribe. Thanks for watching this show. I'm sure there are new people here. I've seen new names here. Thanks to all of you who show up all the time. Thanks to all the new viewers. We're glad to have you. We do these shows normally Tuesday night and Thursday night, but we're in a tournament, so we kind of switch it up. We are going to do a Tuesday night show. We're going to do a Wednesday night post-match show. We may or may not talk about something Thursday night. It kind of depends on if there's something to talk about.
Kind of what's left to talk about.
All right. Do you have any final words?
I do not. On that note, you are done.
See you Tuesday night. Thanks for watching. You are